Hey everybody, this is a Thoroughbred Underdog, and I want to do a video here about um, something I believe to be a philosophy that was followed and subscribed to back when Vince was in office, and it's the reason why a lot of our favorites were not pushed, buried, or penalized even. Um, that being the philosophy of you never outshine the master. Now, there's a book, you may have heard of it. It's called The 48 Laws of Power. It's by Robert Greene. And you've probably seen it. It's a red and blue cover. You've probably seen it in bookstores. You've probably seen it on Audible. You've probably seen it in Walmart in the book section. And we've seen it numerous times in WWE. We saw it with Zack Ryder in the early days when it seemed as though he was being put out to be a cuck. He was being buried. They inserted John Cena in to pretty much take the shine off of him for getting himself over with the Z True Long Island Stories internet series they came out with and caught wind and garnered a lot of attention. Then we saw it with Rusev and Rusev Day. Rusev went out there with Aiden English and he started singing Rusev Day and saying every day was Rusev Day. And he started to get buried for it. Then you see Paul London. Paul London got a lot of heat back when he did that backflip sale from Snitsky's clothesline in the Royal Rumble. Another example, Juventud, which seems more so an example I'll give later with talent shows. Remember, he had the match with Kid Cash, and he went out there and pretty much did a whole bunch of moves that were on the ban list from the high flying list of moves you don't do. And you got a lot of heat for it, but it's also Juventud, so it's like everybody knows Juventud got in a lot of. He pretty much burned a bridge in every company he ever been in, kind of like Tessa Blanchard and Austin Aries and Teddy Hart. So when it comes to now outshining the master, we know that wrestling's predetermined, but we know that there are certain bullet points that in a script that you as a performer, a wrestler, are given a certain position on a card, and there are things that you are told to do and not to do. We know this much as fans, and we have to know our role and shut our mouths. We're just fans, but we only know what they put out there and what the wrestlers tell us in the shoot interviews and the few things that they give us that are behind the curtain. They give us, but we know that much. We know that everything's predetermined and things like that. So think of it like a talent show. And the booker, of course, has it predetermined, like, hey, this is the person that's supposed to win the talent show. This is what you're supposed to do in your position on the talent show. And you may be a superstar wrestler that you have to know your role and your placement, right? So you may be a main eventer, but your position may be in the middle of the card. Or you may be a mid-carder, but you might be in the main event that night. You have to know your position. You have to know your role. So the reason I feel as though a wrestler like a Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, they weren't the main event at WrestleMania 25 that year, but they went out there and outperformed the main event, which was Randy Orton and Triple H. That's an example of main event talent, but in the middle of the card. Being allowed to not be penalized or buried because of their position. It's Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. They're not the main event, but they had a better match, or were allowed and not penalized to have a better match than the main event, which is Randy Orton versus Triple H. Another example, Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 10, the ladder match. I forget what the main event was. It wasn't the ladder match, though. It was a mid-card title on the line, Intercontinental Championship, middle of the card, but definitely the most memorable match of that card. I think, as I rewind, it was Bret Hart versus Yokozuna for the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. You forget that being the main event, though, because of the ladder match. If it's just... And Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon's position in that card, they were mid-carders in the middle of the card, but had a main event caliber match. And the stories coming out that we know as fans is that he got chewed out by Macho Man for going a little bit longer. But Macho Man's no authority figure. He's just somebody that's a little bit more seniority than them at that point in time. But we don't hear any stories about Vince chewing them out or anything like that for having a better match than Yoko and Bret. So that's an example of you being a mid-carder in the middle of the card, having a better match than the main eventers. But then you have, like I said, Rusev, Zack Ryder. Why did they get themselves in trouble? Why were they being buried? Why were they being penalized? Why was TV time being taken away from them seemingly for self-development, for getting themselves over? Like I said, it's a talent show. We are only giving you this much. This is who we want to be the winner. This is who we determined to be the winner of this talent show. So when you go out there, and it sucks because sometimes you go out there and you're given this much and you can't help it. It's no fault of your own that the fans are gravitating towards you and receiving you this well with the stuff you've been given to go out there with. And they're giving you a better standing ovation than they give the person that we determined to win. And it sucks because people get punished for it. I'm going to throw in another prominent example. Bart Gunn, the Brawl for All. The talent show, the master was meant to be Dr. Death Steve Williams, right? So he was the master. This is who our predetermined master was. You don't outshine him. But we want you to go out there and perform. And in that element, it was a shoot. Bart Gunn had a whole episode on him in the Brawl for All tournament for going out there and outshining the master. This is probably one of the best examples of outshining the master and getting punished for it. Bart Gunn went out there and KO'd Dr. Death Steve Williams, the predetermined master, and outshined him. What happened to Bart Gunn? WrestleMania 15 got knocked the hell out by Butterbean. And that's one of the most prominent examples of outshining the master. If you do it, if you go out there and you outshine the master, you're going to be punished for it, depending on your placement of the car and where we determine you to be. Not only that, but back when Vince was the head of state in WWE, so to speak, the president, the CEO. I love Sasha, but that song is so cringy. We as fans have heard from many of superstars who put it out there that Vince does not like pushing people who get themselves over on their own. Vince likes to be the one that says, I created you. You ever heard somebody say, I wish I thought of that on my own. Damn, I wish I came up with that. Vince is not the person that's going to just say that and be emulous. Vince is going to be envious. Vince is going to be jealous. And Vince being the person in power, he's going to depress you. He's going to push you down and punish you because you're not his creation. So not only is he going to punish you for outshining the master, he's going to punish you, not push you, not give you TV time because you're not his creation or you outshine the master. He hated that. And that's where I'm starting to draw the lines and do the math that this was the philosophy Vince subscribed to. He read the 48 Laws of Power, and he was a subscriber of you do not outshine the master. And like I said, in certain situations, depending on who you were, they had to cave in. Daniel Bryan's a prominent example of, hey, we determined the master to be Batista. This is the master. They brought in Batista for the Royal Rumble in 2014. He won the Royal Rumble. They wanted it to be Batista versus Randy Orton. Daniel Bryan was just burgeoning on the card, rising, garnering fanfare, to the point that the Democracy won, and they caved in, put Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match. They were going to put him versus Sheamus at that WrestleMania that year, but they put him in a triple threat match. He basically beat 3/4 of Evolution in the same night, won the Undisputed Championship. So there are instances where even Vince couldn't deny it. Now, we also have more examples, unfortunately, as I provided here, of when you got yourself over, like a Rusev, like a Zack Ryder, like a Bart Gunn. You got punished for it, and it's sad. But it's also certain examples of, I remember back during that time, because some political pushes happened, but I remember reading somewhere that Rusev was originally going to be the one to defeat Randy Orton instead of Jinder Mahal. I don't think it got as much traction as, of course, Jinder Mahal being the one to get it, because they want to get their audience bigger in India. But I remember reading that. I don't know if Rusev got injured or what. But yeah, Vince isn't in office anymore, and I can't think right now if I've seen this happen with Triple H and somebody getting themselves over. It seems Triple H is more receptive to, hey, I like to see you, like embracing, hey, the fact that this person is doing well. This person is garnering ratings with his matches and things like that. We should put them on TV more. But it seems as though overall, Triple H is just better than Vince as far as, hey, we've seen more sellouts at WWE shows. The morale is higher. People are getting more TV time, more liberty to have better matches, more liberty on the microphone. The shows have gotten better. I mean, this past Raw was an all-timer as far as the segments and just everything making sense, even on a lower card, and being interesting. Even the shit with Candice LeRae and her heel turn. Things are overall getting better under the regime of Triple H. It's almost like the inverse of the Reign of Terror. He's redeeming himself. He's doing better now in power than he's making up for the Reign of Terror and the McMahon-Helmsley era. He's wanting to atone for his sins. And he's not a subscriber of Don't Outshine the Master. But so I think a guy like a Rusev or a Zack Ryder or even a Paul London or a Bart Gunn. Now, Bart Gunn and Juventud, two different examples. Juventud went out there and went against the grain in a talent show. I'm going to add shit you told me not to do in a talent show, and therefore I'm going to outshine the master. That's why he got punished. Bart Gunn was told to go out there and do these things, and he did and got punished for it. But a Rusev and a Zack Ryder did it on their own. Rusev is a person who got punished for going out there to say these things. He's like a Bart Gunn too. It's like, go out here, do this, you catch steam, and now you're going to be penalized for it. It sucks. I think a guy like Rusev or a Zack Ryder would fare better now in today's WWE. They were a little bit ahead of their time. I think Zack Ryder should be in the Hall of Fame someday just off of that alone. And I think Triple H would embrace that because Zack Ryder pretty much did what even Xavier Woods is doing now before Xavier Woods did. And Xavier Woods has a sponsorship with the WWE now. His championship has been the up, down, down championship is in the WWE 2K24 games. The left-right championships in the games. His channel is prominently featured on WWE's website. And he's even had an action figure come with the championship. Earlier on, Zack Ryder had a figure that came with the Internet Championship, but even then, you saw how he was featured on WWE television for it. He was being cucked out. They had the main eventer come and take his shine away. That wouldn't happen now under Triple H's, hegemony. So I'm so glad Vince is gone. It's so refreshing, this new leadership. And I look forward to seeing how much more things are going to get better with Triple H's hegemony, him and The Rock running the company in a way. And we've seen some political stuff with The Rock, like Leia Maivia is going to go into the Hall of Fame. And, there's all this stuff about him being able to curse and others not. I don't know. I seen that promo with CM Punk, Rollins, and Drew, and they threw some barbs out there, and they're not The Rock. So it also shows that, hey, we will give the talent something to work with that aren't The Rock and Triple H. So The Rock does see value in people. Triple H does see the value and merit in a lot of superstars. Ricochet and JD McDonough aren't main eventers right now. They're mid-carders. And they went out there and had a hell of a match this past Monday. Not quite to the par of their NXT matches, but a hell of a match nonetheless. So, Candice LeRae is being given something to work with. They say, oh, she's a Triple H girl and whatnot. But I think we're going to slowly, people saying they're bringing the Attitude Era back. Okay, well, the Attitude Era, everybody has something to work with, from the lowest person on the card to the highest. I think slowly we'll get back to that too. You're starting to see more crowd signs in the audience and things like that. So maybe the Attitude Era is coming back. I don't know. I want to do a video here about outshining the master and why I think during the Vince era, this is something that he subscribed to. And I want to see what you guys think. Kind of rambled, but that's what happens when I'm allowed to speak at an indefinite length versus a 60-minute time limit or 60-second time limit in a short. So I'm glad I did a video here. And let me know what you guys think. Do you think Vince, during the Vince era, this is something that he followed or not? Do you think things are going to get much better, continue to get better under this Triple H hegemony and this Rock Board of Directors TKO hegemony? Let me know. And if you watch, give me a thumbs up. If you're a new viewer, subscribe. I love doing this stuff, man. I love wrestling. I love talking about wrestling. So, yeah. And these are my Thoroughbred thoughts. Thanks for watching.